Good morning, and once again, welcome to the Haven Financial Group radio show. Thanks for listening this morning. Feel free to give us a call at 612-504-8400 or visit us online at havenfinancialgroup.com. Call them havenfinancialgroup.com. All kinds of retirement tools. We have a community site there. Clients get to exchange recipes and pictures of their favorite pet and all the fun stuff. Because, retirement can get a little complicated. It can get a little overwhelming. And why not have a little fun with it along the way, right?
That is for certain. In fact, let's have a lot of fun. I think that's what most people are hoping for. Yeah, we've been talking about taxes, and while that may not be a subject that's fun for a lot of people, it certainly is an important one because, that is where we spend a lot of our dollars for sure. Lance Larson is with us, CPA for Haven Financial Group. And Lance, a lot of people, I think, believe that when they get to retirement age, they're going to pay less taxes. And maybe in some cases that is true, but in others it may not be.
Correct. So one of the things we hear a lot is that, hey, sometimes we're making more money now in retirement than we did while we were working. Mm-hmm. So when you have that increase in income, well, the way our graduated tax brackets work, you're going to be paying more in taxes.
So let's talk a little bit about some of the levers that you have to pull when it comes to tax questions in retirement. Let's start with pensions. Are there certain strategies that need to be used if you're someone who's lucky enough to be drawing a pension?
So with pensions, one of the biggest things that I hear from people is that it's not a lot because a lot of the pensions people are getting are the biggest one we see is from Delta. And sometimes the amounts that they get are very small. And do we need to have withholding being done on that? Well, sometimes, no, you don't need to have it because it's not going to make that much difference in your taxable income because it is so small. Other people have larger pensions. Yep, we're going to need to make sure that we have pensions that have withholding. There are people that are moving to Minnesota that have pensions from other states. Mm-hmm. Well, that can bring in a whole slew of problems right there because these other places are not going to do any type of Minnesota withholding. So when it comes to the end of the tax year, we figure it out and say, hey, because you're a Minnesota resident, you have to pay taxes on this income. Oh, wait, they didn't do any withholding. So now you have a big tax bill due to Minnesota. How do we avoid that? Mm-hmm. So that's where pensions, we need to kind of understand where it's coming from, what the third-party administrator will allow us to do as far as withholding, and then what do we do about all that?
Yeah. So we've talked about pensions now and what we do about that. We're talking about strategies specifically, and throughout the course of the show, Lance, you've talked about strategies associated with retirement accounts, but let's just very quickly here, if you were to sit down with someone today in the fourth quarter, what would be a strategy maybe that you might talk to folks about when it comes to their retirement accounts and taxation?
So one of the biggest things, the first thing I'm going to look at is how much income have we brought in this year so far, mm-hmm. and figure out where we are sitting at. Then from there, we can look at it. Does it make sense to pull more money in, or does it make more sense to stop taking money because it's going to be pushing you into that next tax bracket? Or you might be getting close enough where we have to worry about IRMAA, and so as far as Medicare goes. Just last week, I had a couple in here that they had their monthly income stream, and when we did all the projections out, it says, hey, you're going to be right here if we continue on. Yeah, we need to stop these last 3 months. And like, yep, we can do that. Mm-hmm. They have enough money in their checking account that they're going to be just fine, not taking this additional money out of their IRAs. And then on the flip side, I had another couple that came in there. They were coming in, they were not even filling up the 12% tax bracket. So at this point, say, hey, let's pull some more money out of this IRA and pay it at 12%, because in the future, your RMDs will probably push you into that third tier, either at 22 or possibly even 25, depending on if the tax rates change. Why not get the more money out at these lower rates?
Sure.
Then we had the decision of, do we need to have the money to pad a checking account or savings account? Do we need the money, or can we do it as a Roth conversion? So these tax strategies kind of just really depend upon where you're sitting at. And so that's why we look at the very first thing is to have an idea what your income is for the year.
What if someone's tax strategy is, I'm going to move to a state that's friendlier when it comes to taxes? What's your advice there?
Now, Kim, why would anybody want to leave the state of Minnesota? I wouldn't condone that, but every listener knows that Minnesota is not a tax-friendly state. Right. Now, I've lived here my whole life and probably will for the rest of my life. Maybe not, probably, but we're not a tax-friendly state.
It's a friendly state, just not tax-friendly.
Yeah, Minnesota nice, but not tax-friendly nice. And I know a lot of the listeners right now, you have, if you're honest with yourself, you have considered yourself moving to the ones we hear, Florida, Arizona, South Carolina, North Carolina, South Dakota, all of these, we hear it all the time. And I didn't start yesterday. So that is an option. But what I will point out is make sure you check out applicable taxes, other forms of taxes in other states, because I had a client of mine moved to the western side of South Dakota. And he said, yeah, the income tax and that, there's a lot of great things, but the property tax, he said, is just terrible. So that's why I say that. A couple other things that maybe Lance will elaborate is, as far as strategies on this tax discussion is, are you doing tax loss harvesting? Or is your partner that you're leaning on, do you not even know what tax loss harvesting is? Do you have the right investments in the right types of investment accounts? Mm-hmm. Certain types of investments should go in Roths, in traditional IRAs, and certain ones into brokerage accounts. Have you utilized Treasury inflation protected securities? What state do you live in? Are you using muni bonds? Are you using the right muni bonds? These are all the discussions that a lot of people don't know the answers, yet they may be doing them, they might not be doing them, and maybe they should be doing them. Why not have the discussion? Because fourth quarter is the time to be having these discussions. It's actually throughout the whole year. We're just entering the fourth quarter, so why not now?
Lance, is there something there that stands out that you'd like to elaborate on?
Well, one of the biggest strategies that I talk to people about, just because, again, being in Minnesota, we are the Minnesota nice, we like to give to charity. Yeah. So, all right, let's do this in the best tax advantageous possible. Mm-hmm. Let us look at, and the biggest thing we look at is doing qualified charitable distributions. So once you turn 70 and a half, you can actually pay an amount directly from your IRA to a charity. That helps out a lot on the taxes, because that instead of having to go work through all your itemized deductions to see if it makes sense to be able to use that charitable deduction, by doing a qualified charitable distribution from that IRA, we take it right off the top. And then we get our full standard deduction. And it's the best thing to be charitable is the best way to go about doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. Charity, one of many strategies when it comes to taxes. All right. So final say here, gentlemen, give us the final, when you think of taxes, what is it that you want people to know? One final word.
What I want people to know is that we don't want to give more than we absolutely have to Uncle Sam. And if you're not planning, then you're going to probably end up being paying more than you absolutely should.
And most people, we've worked hard for every dollar we had. Just don't give it away because you don't have a discussion. So I take away from this show, taxes, it's real. If you're taking it lightly and you're not really having any planning and you're just barely getting things prepared and you don't know why, you've had the same questions for a long time, come on and visit with us. And it relates to all retirement puzzle pieces. Annual enrollments right around the corner for Medicare. Lot of changes. Should you be having that Roth conversion discussion? Fourth quarter, you should be having it, whether it relates to you or not. Do you have your estate plan intact? Are your investments being looked at? Have you rebalanced the portfolio? All of these things, which may seem so overwhelming, they can be, but if you have a good partner to lean on, they don't have to be. We can simplify things. We can consolidate things. I always say there's no quotas to how many times you could come in. You deserve the attention because you're paying for it, but I'm guessing you're not getting the attention you really deserve.
612-504-8400. That is the number where you reach the folks at Haven Financial Group. Give them a call today, folks. Set up that appointment. We're in the fourth quarter, and now is the time. That's for sure. Gentlemen, it was great. Lance, thank you so much.
Thanks, Kim. We look forward to next week as well.